Lesson 48, Analyzing Measures of Central Tendency. So, measures of central tendency describe the center of a data set. And there's three measures of central tendency: mean, median, and mode. So we're going to put measures of central tendency describe the center of a data set. And the three measures of central tendency are the mean, median, and mode. So we've gone over these before, and so this is kind of a review. The mean is another word for average. It's where we, oops, I didn't mean to underline that. We add all the numbers together, so we want the sum of all the numbers divided by how many numbers we have. So the number of numbers. That's the mode. The median is the number right in the middle. So when you arrange the data in order, then you find the middle. The middle number. So if there are two numbers in the middle, you find the average of the two numbers. That'll happen if you have an odd number of numbers. Now the mode, the other central tendency mode, is the number that occurs the most. Well, if more than one number ties for the most, then they're both the mode. You can have two or three modes. So if two numbers tie for the most, that means they have the same amount and it's the most, then both are the mode. And one other thing, if all the data appears the same amount of times, then there's no mode. You would just write no mode. So if all the data appears the same number of times, then there is no mode. So if you're looking for a mode and all the data occurs the same amount, you're just going to write no mode. If you have three that occur the same amount and it's more than the rest, then you're going to list three numbers for the mode. Those are the three measures of central tendency. Well, we sometimes look at a measure called the range. That's the spread. So it's kind of like with the spread of values. So it's like how far apart is the largest and smallest. So you just take the largest number and subtract, I'm just going to say, subtract the smallest value. So when we're talking about, when we're analyzing, a lot of times there are certain things, so we're going to have, there might be numbers that are way far out there, way high or way low. Those are called outliers. So those are just numbers, data value much larger or much smaller than the rest of the values in the set. outliers can affect our measures of central tendency. So usually on the mode, the outlier has no effect. So on the mode, no effect. On the mean, there is an effect, because if we have an outlier that is much bigger, it's going to make the mean seem like it's higher, or it would be up. If the outlier is really low, it brings the median down. If you have both a high and a low, they'll balance each other out, and it probably won't make that big of a difference on the mean. So a low outlier brings the mean down. A high outlier brings the mean up. And if you have one of each, it will just kind of level it out. On the median, there's very little effect. And on the range, which is not a measure of central tendency, but sometimes we like to see how the outlier will affect the range. Having an outlier makes the range larger. So it doesn't matter if the outlier is the smaller number or the bigger number, just having an outlier makes the range larger. And that's the end of the lesson.